CPW in our 474 Broadway gallery location, where we currently have a show by Adriana Alt, curated by our very own Adam Gills Ryan. Please, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, please walk around while we at the end. My name is Sarah Danziger. I'm the education program manager here at CPW. If you don't already know me. Here is where we have artist talks, exhibitions. Come September, everything will be moved over to our new home down the street where we currently have our digital media lab. There's lots of ways to get involved. So if you're interested in becoming a member, taking workshops, crit groups, or even just printing in the digital lab, please come find me and I'll tell you more. Okay. Dustin Pittman, who will be joining us tonight. His artistic career, yeah. Well, that's the first time I've had a clap at the beginning. Dustin Pittman's artistic career is an ode to embracing the extraordinary within New York City's after-hours scene. From the pages of Women's Wear Daily, W, Vogue, and more, his photography has woven fashion, music, and art together since the 1960s. His images portray an eclectic cast of characters, including the Velvet Underground, Warhol muses, and fashion icons, like Betsey Johnson, Stephen Sprouse, and even pre-fame Marc Jacobs. In addition, he has photographed the rise of musicians like David Bowie, Bryan Ferry, Iggy Pop, David Johansen, and Lou Reed, alongside the regulars of famed nightspots like Area and the Mud Club. Pittman's work reverberates with a simple, profound truth. He offers his subjects the opportunity to just be. He prioritizes capturing people naturally, something he learned from Andy Warhol, allowing their true essence to shine. He values preserving genuine moments that reflect their spirits and the life stories, an homage to unadulterated authenticity. Dustin is always searching, always ready, and always posed and present to capture the moment. He has been photographing people for over 50 years in the studios, on the streets, way uptown, way downtown, New York, Paris, London, Milan, Tokyo, Europe, India, the Middle East, and the entire world. Day for night, night for day. Can we give a warm welcome to Dustin, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody for getting out and coming. I know probably got a million things to do, but I really appreciate it. And I'll make it as quick as possible. My name is Dustin Pittman, aka Dustin Pop. They call me Dustin Pop. On my Instagram is Dustin Pop, one word. Even though I've been in the Hudson Valley for 4 years, my home is in the Adirondack Mountains in New York City. So I grew up on a farm in the Adirondack Mountains with animals and vegetables and ducks and chickens and stuff. So let me get started there. So that's me when I was little, because I started out at 7 years old in the boys club, and it was can everybody hear me? If you can't hear, just let me know. So I go a lot of presentations, hard to hear. I started out at 7 years old. At the boys club, they had a class on photography, and the instructor was incredible. They gave us each a camera, analog. Of course, it was before digital. But they gave each a camera, and they said, go out and shoot what you like. So, I would go out and shoot all my friends, like everybody. Shoot all your friends and your relatives and aunts and uncles and anybody I could find, I'd shoot, photograph. And then I would bring it back to their dark room, and I would develop it and then print it, and then we critique it. And that's how I kind of, got the little buzz about photography. So I want to do this. On the right is my grandfather dabbled in photography, and this was taken in 1917. So this is a shot of my grandfather taking a picture of the photographer, taking a picture of the nurse holding my mother when she was born. and I have the glass plate. On the other side, so, I like to say that photography, visual images, because I'm a filmmaker also, runs the DNA in my family. It's a DNA. I mean, like I've done it all my life, and still doing it since today. So on the other side is my Aunt Catherine, and she was 17, and she fell in love with this older man who was a photographer whose specialty was nature. And what they used to do is they used to pick a moonless night, and this is all in the Adirondack Mountains. And they used to pick a moonless night and go up on a horse and buggy and go and find these glacier lakes, hire a guide with a canoe, and then they would go out in the canoe in the darkest of night, moonless night, and he would set up his camera in the front of the canoe, and they would paddle slowly and silently, quietly out to islands and photograph wildlife, deer, all different wildlife, and try to catch it like deer in headlights look. And so her job was, my Aunt Catherine, her job was to hold up a powdered flash and flash it. He had two of them, so he'd flash it twice. And then they'd try to get the animal or whatever the nature of the animal was in action, in motion. And that was the style of photography. And she did that for a long time. And I'm kind of jumping ahead. These are my grandfather's pictures, his dogs. So this is what it looks like. This was taken in 1918 up in the Adirondack Mountains on a moonless night. That's my aunt holding the powder flash. And I mean, talk about dangerous. 17 years old, And you can see this is exactly what they did. And this is what came out of it. And they're really kind of out of order in a way. This is so when I was on the farm and shooting and everything, I was lucky enough to because I love shooting animals. I love farms and dairy. All my friends had dairy farms, and I just loved it. I loved the organic feel, the hands-on organic feel. I know I shot Iggy Pop and everybody was talking about cows now, but I love the organic. It's a nature to me, trees, nature, roots, the earth. It's very special to me. It's my heart. And, of course, that's where we come from and that's where we're going. So, the reason why I show this picture is because these are we had two barns like this on our property. And I used to, when I was little, I used to watch a lot of TV late at night. And there was a TV show called $1 Million Movie. And they used to show all black and white movies. And that's why I learned a lot about lighting and about patterns and about shadows and about just, angles. And then I would go to the library and I study early Hollywood photography and how they would photograph in the early days of Hollywood. I'm talking about early 1900, in those days, because a lot of my influence not only was from my grandfather and grandmother and aunt. I used to go to their house and stay for the weekend and go through their cigar boxes at the time, of photographs and just look at these photographs. They look at these photographs, and just look at them, just stare at them. And they were so amazing, just to see this, I don't know, something mystical about it. But anyway, I learned a lot on the, I'll cut it short, get to the program. But I learned a lot about lighting from $1 Million Movie, from the movies they used to show. They used to show old 40s and 50s movies, mostly black and white. So what I learned was that in our property, we had two barn. We had a working barn and we had a dilapidated barn. And the dilapidated barn is where you used to store a lot of hay and a lot of, tools and that crap. I'm sure everybody knows about this. But what was great about it is the slats on the barn. This barn is decent, but I'm just showing you this. But the slats on the barn were falling down and, disrepair. So what I used to do is I used to bring in people to the barn and use it as my studio. And getting the cue from early Hollywood, where what they used to do is they used to take, if they, someone like Buster Keaton or, different movies they used to do, they used to take a set and build it on almost like a rotisserie thing, you know what I mean? And use the natural light. And then, take the top and scrim the top of the scrim is soften the light on the top of the building. And then they used to be able to control the light and what angle and whatever they wanted. So I took that cue and used the barn and the slats of the barn and would move the slats where the light would come in to shine on my hay. I mean, I didn't have Jane Russell on the hay, but, different looks and different feels. And it was really great because I was able to manipulate and control light without any equipment, major equipment. Of course I had, light bulbs or whatever I could use. Because I'm the kind of photographer that, even though I've been, on an up and down scale as far as like equipment and, all that stuff, vans and, having shoots and stuff, heavy shoots with celebrities or whatever, I'm the kind of photographer that really likes to keep it light. I like to keep it simple. You know what? And I don't want the equipment to get in my way. The equipment to me, a camera, a flash, whatever you're using, LED, whatever you're using, it's a tool. That's all it is. It's like a plumber or a carpenter, and it's a tool in a toolbox. That's all it is. Okay, what really counts is what's up here in your brain. That's where it all starts. And then your history, what you absorb through life and through other people learning. So let me just move on now. So this is a picture I took when I was little, and way back when. It looks like somewhere in, I don't know, wherever. I told you I like animals. I got my start. So I started, I loved animals. I go to a lot of fairs. I got a lot of things, photograph a lot of people. I have tons and tons of pictures of that. But I had 2 cows on my farm called Heidi and Flower. And when my mom used to drag me to the mall when I was little, there was a newsstand there called Reader's Island. And they had all the magazines, especially the fashion magazines. And I said to my mom, Mom, I know she was going to be 3-4 hours in the mall. And I said, please, just let me stay here and thumb through these magazines, these fashion magazines, and, pick me up. It was called Reader's Island. And I said, pick me up at Reader's Island when, you're done. And that's what I used to do. And I used to thumb through all these magazines, great magazines. I mean, in the Adirondacks, you don't get European magazines stuff. This was the only place to get these magazines. So it was very special. And so that's what I used to do. So, I learned a lot about fashion through the magazines, but unfortunately, I didn't really have a lot of models. So I used to use Heidi and Flower as my models. So I figured if I could move my 2 cows, Heidi and Flower, as a model, that I probably could start shooting, I mean, no offense to anybody, but fashion. So you figure it out. There's more pictures from my aunt from the early days with the powder flash, 1917. I said, oh, here we go. Yes, that's the 60s. So I'll make this fast because it's really, it's 5 decades. So this is me and Andy Warhol. This is a little bit off because I met Andy in the late 60s, 68. It's me and Andy at Warhol at the factory. Meeting Andy, I'll just tell you fast because there's a lot of stuff to go through. Just meeting Andy, a lot of people kind of say Andy Warhol. But when at that time, in 1968 and 69, Andy Warhol was Andy Warhol. He wasn't really, that in those days, there was celebrityism, of course. I mean, everybody loved their celebrities and their, whatever. But it wasn't like today of celebrity. And a whole different time. It's a whole different time span. There was those days, you know, myself, I was lucky enough to meet Andy. One of the superstars, Ingrid Superstar, brought me down, met me in Central Park on one Sunday, and she wanted me to introduce me to somebody, and she introduced me to Andy at the factory at 33 Union Square. And I went down, and we hit it off right away. And we used to go out to a lot of at the time, we used to go to a lot of the clubs, see Paul Steen and Trudy Hellers and Reno Sweeney's, different clubs in New York. They had cabarets and, you know, different acts and stuff like that. And we used to go to dinners and stuff. So that's how I met Andy. But I learned a lot from Andy, because Andy used to carry around a tape recorder. He used to carry around Polaroid at times. He used to carry around his autofocus cameras. But I loved him because, you know, he was, and I'm not going to get into this whole thing about Andy. There's thousands of books about him. But, you know, we had a wonderful relationship because, you know what, he would sit there and listen like an 8-track tape recorder at the time. You know, he would sit there and listen. And then, you know, everybody at the time, like the superstars and everybody, they loved Andy. So, like, he would take all these ideas and all these suggestions and all these different feelings, these vibes, and just absorb everything and just use them. And that's what was the greatest thing about Andy. That's what I loved about Andy Warhol. But, you know, there's more stories to tell you about that. So anyway, in the 60s, I shot a lot of pop festivals. I was on a pop festival rant and used to go around to these different pop festivals. I went to Woodstock. I was lucky enough to be hired at Woodstock to hire the people for the concession stands, which they burnt down after halfway through. But, you know, I was there almost 2 weeks before the event, a week and a half before the event. So they're building the stage. So if anybody ever saw the documentary of Woodstock in the beginning, where Max Jagger's Alfalfa is way up, you know, it's way up here. And, you know, it was wonderful. I said, oh my God, this is going to be great. They were building the stage and they were testing out the sound system with Crosby, Stills and Nash, you know, and it was just amazing. So I went back to the trailer where the our production team was. And I called all my friends on the landline. I said, get up here now. I said, I can hire you. You can get paid. I said, it's going to be Woodstock. All the bands are playing. Janis Joplin, Hendrix, you name it. The Can Heat, you know, you name it, you know, whatever. So anyway, they all came up. And so they did that. And then, you know, we did that, you know, the festival happened. They burnt down the concession stands after a while. So, you know, we just enjoyed the festival. And then I went on to the next one. I went on to the Dallas. So I know there's a lot, but these are some pictures early. I can't show you everything because in September of this year, I'm coming out with a book with Rizzoli Publications. And unfortunately, the catalog's not out yet, so I can't talk about what's in the book. And a lot of pictures that some of them are in, some of them are out, you know, I can't show them. So, but anyway, I'll just run through these. So these are just pictures, snaps, pictures, whatever. My whole MO in photography is, and it always has been, you know, has been, look at this, is acid, $1.50. Can you believe that? Boy, talk about inflation. My you know, MO in photography is then mostly it's like just let people be. You know, I have an exhibit at the Roxy Hotel right now in New York. It's called Underground Glamour. But the last exhibit I had there was called Just Be. And to me, that means that, you know, I wanted to just have my, you know, be in relationship with who I'm photographing, which is really important to me. Getting in relationship, to have trust, to have a commitment, and to create a bond. And that really, really sets off the snap where you can really pop out some great images. So these are just things, different festivals. Then we come into, yeah, I'm just going to show you this. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So on the farm in Adirondacks, I was lucky enough that Paramount Pictures, Hollywood came to the Adirondacks, And they came to the Adirondacks in the form of Alan J. Bakula, who was an incredible, famous director. Unfortunately, he died. But, you know, he did Parallax View. He did, you know, Stereo Cuckoo. So they came to the Adirondacks and with Liza Minnelli and Wendell Burton and the whole crew, the whole 9 yards, all the trucks, everything. And I got a job working with Liza on the Stereo Cuckoo while I was in the Adirondacks. Can you believe it? I didn't have to go to Hollywood for it. So anyway, it was really great. And those times, and I say about these times, it was great because this was in 1968. So like 68, 69, it went on. So, you know, it was really loose. Everything was free. I mean, freedom, the freedom of movement. There was no bodyguards. There's no like PR people, nothing like that. So, I mean, you could really I literally would sit down with Liza and her short-lived husband, Peter Allen, and he would come up and we'd sit down and have lunch, but, you know, be in relationship with people on the set. And it was wonderful. And so like, you know, and what really turned me on about film and the visual image, because I'm, you know, a visual image artist, was the fact that the first day of the shooting of the Stereo Cuckoo, they shot, it was pouring rain out. So they shot inside this empty warehouse, and the set builders built this staircase with a payphone. And the scene was where Liza is in relationship with the boyfriend at college. And the reason why they shot it up where I am, was there was Hamilton College and the writer was from Hamilton College. So that's why they shot it there. And also it was absolutely beautiful for them. I mean, these people from the West Coast, they never saw the fall. They never saw the colors. So it was absolutely wonderful. You know, they just couldn't get enough of it. But anyway, that scene, that one scene where I'm standing here from this far away where Bryan is, and Liza's on the phone, she's doing a monologue. And what's happening is that her boyfriend is breaking up with her. And she's on the phone, and it's like a 10-minute monologue. And I'm sitting 3 feet away, and she is doing this monologue and going through all these emotional highs and lows, intensities that you would not believe. It just completely blew me a mind, you know, just outrageous. I said, this is where I want to be. This is the vibe I want, you know, this is the spirit that wants to move my body and mind. And so I saw that. She did 2 takes of it. Alan said, print, cut, print, boom, that was it. And then, you know, I asked Liza later on when we were having lunch, you know, once in a while, I would, not all the time, but once in a while we'd have lunch. She'd sit on the grass to have lunch. And I said, Liza, I said, you just can't believe how you did that. It was amazing. And that scene, incidentally, she was nominated for Academy Award because of that scene in the Stereo Cuckoo. I don't know if you ever saw the movie. But anyway, so she said, Dustin, why don't you go to New York or come to Hollywood and study film or work in film? She said, you're good. I looked at you. I saw your pictures, your camera, whatever. Come. So, you know, after that and after the pop festival thing, I went to New York. And I said, well, I'll tell you, I have my choice. I have USC, I had Cal Arts, I had Temple, I had NYU, and I had School of Visual Arts. And out of all of them, I picked School of Visual Arts because they were really nice. They had all this equipment. And the most important thing for me was that I was in the center of creative juices of what's happening in New York right now in 69, 70. And with the Warhol, and I started meeting the Warhol people. And I said, look, I'm coming, I want to start school and I want to get out there and hop, skip, and jump and hit the deck running. And that's exactly what I did from day one at School of Visual Arts. And I was able to use all their equipment for free. You know what, there's Bolexes and there were Oricons and there were lights and you name it, Mo Richardson, all that stuff for free. So it's great. So at that time, I was friends with Andy, met all the superstars, you know, Candy Darlin, Holly Woodlawn, Jackie Curtis, you know, Viva, you name it. And we would do, at that time, the kind of mentality or sensibility was this total freedom. There was no boundaries. So you just kind of roll with everybody. So you'd go someplace to a club, whether it's the back room of Max's or wherever you went, and then you would go to someone's loft, and then someone pick up a camera. That's how Peter Jarre and, Mapplethorpe and, all these people, this is like, Keith Haring, this is how we all started, just naturally, just passionate, believing authenticity. That's all it starts, So, for me, that was great for me. So, what I used to do is I used to use a lot of the equipment and do a lot of short films, 16 millimeter films, 8 millimeter Super 8, and do a lot of them with the superstars. We do a lot of, at that time, we used to call it underground cinema and cinema verite and improvisation. So I just saw that for the first time ever. I saw Edie and Chow Manhattan the other night at Metrograph, and unfortunately, it was, the last years of Edie. So, but, I tell my friends, that moment, a lot of people can't grasp that moment today, and I understand, but that moment between the Summer of Love, 1967, until unfortunately the AIDS crisis, where, the Tenderloin, whatever, the AIDS epidemic in the beginning, that whole period, which I covered and documented, that was like Caligula. I mean, you could do anything you wanted with anyone. And it was so crazy because, there was all the guards. It was the unallowed was allowed. That's what I like to say. And the clubs, wherever you went, wherever section you went, you were welcomed. And there was just something about that kind of summer. I call it the decades of love. But, that's how it was. And so that's how you really you see other photographers that were shooting their time and you see that kind of like naturalness, where people there's not a lot of anxiety and stress or whatever. Not that people have anxiety and stress, but, that kind of looseness to it, that just hanging, and so that's, that was the times. That's why people, I don't knock them, but people try to recreate these things like Studio 54 and these things, but it'll never happen because those are the days. I mean, those days were, now is now. We create what's now. So let me just move on because I'm getting ready. What I'm showing you here, these are dances that I used to photograph and document. Talking about the unallowed being allowed. We were all rated here. This is before Stonewall. So does anybody know what Stonewall is? You know what Stonewall is, right? The uprising, our march, rights. I'm a big activist. I photographed it. Well, you'll see. But anyway, so these are taken at the Edgar Allan Poe House in West 3rd Street in the Village. And, I used to go to the Firehouse and the Poe House and, I love the incredible friends, these are my friends, so. So the kind of lewdness, so that's the 60s, so much as I can show. So 70s, we're going 70s, that's the first gay pride march. People call it parade, but it's a march. We marched for our rights, our individuality, a sense of having identity, where we weren't erased. The cops weren't raiding our clubs, which even now it's happening. But this was the march. It was at Waverly Place in the Village, and it was the first march. It was 300 people, and it was really, really tough. It was like they gave us maybe 5 feet of the curb. Cars were still moving, and traffic was still running, still operating. And we marched, and as we marched, at first we were taunted, garbage was thrown at us, all kinds of names were called. But then after a while, when we were marching all the way up 6th Avenue till we got to Central Park, it turned into a being. They used to call them beings then, Lovins, beings, which all a bunch of people just got together and loved each other, I guess. So this is some of the march, some of the things. This is, you can see it, they're just on this street there, So then I photographed, that was 1970. So then I photographed the first Women's Rights March. I really believe in that. There's Roe versus Wade when we're struggling for the women's rights. And, that was 3 years before the bill passed. Bill passed in 73. And so that was a trip. This is part of the march. And I said there's a lot more that I can't show because of the book. But, this is part of the march. And you see the 1970s uniforms. So this is part of the march. And it was really daring them because, that was really something, I tell you. Believe me, people think taking it a little light, but it was tough. Tough times to do that. And, these are people that are heroes and heroines. So this is part of the Women's Rights March, 1970. So then we go to, then we're into the 70s, early 70s, 71. This is like, I used to shoot a lot of off Broadway plays. And, some of them were off Broadway, like La Mama, Theater, Truck and Warehouse, different place. This is taken in Jackie Curtis, the Hollywood superstar. That was in her loft when we were just producing Vain Victory. That was a play shot in, we did it in 1971 at La Mama. And that loft is very famous because after Jackie, Peter Hajar had it with his lover, David. So that was a very famous loft. And this is part of Vain Victory. This is backstage, part of the play. These are all my friends. I love these. Eric Emerson, Mario Montez. That was an original Warhol that, it's so crazy. Andy Warhol stuff is so crazy because at that time, Andy Warhol was Andy Warhol, but the paintings, it was so funny. Like Andy always wanted, to use the actors in his movies, but he never wanted to pay him money. He never had any money. He said, I'm broke. So he used to pay him in paintings, and they hated getting paintings. They wanted $100. They wanted $100. Said, Dandy, I want $100. So, so the thing is, I remember, like, I was very good friends with Taylor Mead, one of the Andy Warhol superstars, who was in Lonesome Cowboys. And Andy gave him 4 of the Mick Jagger, I don't know if you know these silk screens, the Mick Jagger Lips paintings. And they were signed and everything, incredible paintings. He had them in his loft on 14th Street. And in 1972, I'm walking down the village, I'm walking down 6th Avenue, and Taylor's walking toward me, waving a $100 bill. I said, Taylor, where'd you get the $100 bill? He goes, I just sold my 4 Warhols for $100. He said, let's all go to the 9th Circle for drinks. So we went to the 9th Circle, and the 9th Circle was like a hot club. Janis Joplin used to live upstairs. Anyway, that's Taylor. That's my friend Taylor, who sold the paintings for $100. These were shots were taken in 1970 out in the Hamptons. We used to do a lot of, Taylor and I did a lot of movies together, a lot of crazy movies. I mean, you grab that piece and we did a movie of it. We used anything for props, and we used to use using my Super 8. I used to use my 16 and then use a sound, recorder. It wasn't sync sound then, and we just matched up and used music and whatever worked. This is part of Vain Victory. It's Candy Darling, Jackie Curtis, Paula Mundo, Gwen Reese. Now, this is at Studio 54. This one had opened up. This is the first New Year's. I shot most of the clubs, did a lot of the clubs. It was a lot of fun. I had all access to the clubs. At that time, I was doing a lot of freelance, but, I was working for W Magazine. I don't know if everybody heard of it. And, for Carrie Donovan, Fashion of the Times, and Life Magazine. So, I was around doing all these things. I was very good friends with the owners, Ian Schrader and Steve Rebell. That was taken at the stroke of midnight at New Year's Eve on 77, 78. There's more studio stuff. This was taken at Regine's. That's Regine in the back. Regine was a nightclub that was hot. And that's Karl Lagerfeld, Steve Bell. Let me just run through these because there's a lot. This is Pat Cleveland. Everyone know Pat Cleveland was model. That's Pat Cleveland. This is at the Mud Club. She's doing a show at the Mud Club. This is at different clubs. This guy is Mark Stevens. I don't want to go into that story, but anyway, it's Betsey Johnson. Different. What people used to do in the early days, they used to either have pistols or they used to have armbands, and they used to put amyl nitrate and then put the blotter and then smell the amyl nitrate, and then at the Paradise Garage or the Seine or different clubs, everybody used to get high, and then so that's what it turned into. And that's where I end up. So that's early. This is early 70. This is 78, 77. People are trying to get in studio, different amyl nitrate, late night, more clubs. That's Beth Anderson, who did a great documentary that's on Hulu right now, streaming, called Inner Beauty. It's wonderful. You should see it. It's amazing. It's about inclusion and diversity in the fashion world. Bringing in black and brown and people of color, indigenous models, and people to the industry that it just didn't happen in the 70s and 80s. So it's an incredible movie. And that's Betsey Johnson and Stephen Burrows. Stephen Burrows was an incredible designer. He was the only left of living American designer today that was at the Battle of Versailles in 1973. And do you know about the Battle of Versailles, right? It was incredible, changed American fashion. I wish I could go in more, but there's a lot, so. That's John Kennedy Jr. in the middle. Fran Lebowitz, Carl. This is a great. Anybody know what this is? Can you guess what this is fast? Come on, somebody can guess what it is. I love this picture. It's taken in 1978. Come on, throw out a name. One name. Famous movie was made of this guy. That's Jake LaMotta, the Raging Bull, and his wife, 1978. I loved him. I loved talking to him. We talked for hours, There's Liza, what that's like, studio. That's in the DJ booth with Brooke Shields. That's Ian, the owner, Calvin. I'm not going to go into studio because I'll see it's Coquettes, Angel Jack, and Coquettes. I don't know if you know the Coquettes in San Francisco troupe. That's Pat Cleveland wearing Halston, looking at Liza Minnelli wearing Halston. I don't know that's Pat and Martin, but I don't know what they're doing over there. So some of these are clubs area, Mud Club, Danceteria. They're all different clubs. There's a lot more that's in my book. I can't show, unfortunately. Divine. This is Rene Ricard, poet, writer, incredible Rene. He was incredible. If you ever don't know him, look him up. Rene Ricard. He was in some Warhol movies. He was in Kitchen. He was an incredible painter, poet, rebel, real rebel. He was like Cookie Mueller. Everybody know who Cookie Mueller is? This is at Reno Sweeney's. This is what the guys look like in the 70s, and the mustaches and the leather. This was a fashion show. It was really great. Dia Doherty's fashion show. And everybody was there. If you look in the background, Scavullo and Warhol and Mapplethorpe and Marcus Leatherdale. There's Andy right there. And Marcus and Mapplethorpe. And everybody was there. It was great. And it was great about it because she did all these fashions with corrugated cardboard. It was a real lot of fun. This is all clubs and stuff, different things. There's Cookie Mueller right there. She's a writer, incredible. She did a lot of John Waters movies. Sylvia Miles, the great Sylvia Miles. I'm an actress, she was in, she'll kill me if I don't mention this. Unfortunately, she passed away. But she was in Midnight Cowboy and almost won an Oscar. I got to say that for her. Sylvia, we love you. Debbie Harry. That's Gita Chrome from the Dead Boys. I know you probably don't know some of these people, but it's okay. These are the ladies that you're going to see a feud on Hulu now. The swans. These are the real swans. This is upstairs at the factory at 33 Union Square, 1970. The pictures of Joe and Viva. So I'm just going to run some through these. That's Kevin Edcorn, a famous makeup artist. So I shot a lot of stuff in the 70s of Sex and Let It Rock, which is Vivienne Westwood's boutique. And I shot a lot of that stuff. And it was really crazy. I mean, she goes, do anything you want. So you'll see some pictures. We did anything we wanted on anybody. So all this stuff most of this stuff is from Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren from Let It Rock and Sex in London. We shot it here. This is where I shot when I had my studio. It was literally underneath 23rd Street. And they used to come down in a freight elevator and we used to shoot. And this was transgender in 1973. This is Divine's Woman Behind Bars play on 77, 78 maybe. Klaus Nomi, everybody know who Klaus Nomi is? That's Klaus Nomi, incredible. He was some of his stuff. He was incredible. He had this operatic voice. If you ever don't know him, look him up. He's incredible. But this was taken at I took these at the Mud Club. But he was on Saturday Night Live with David Bowie. Him and Joey Arias. There's Joey right there, Klaus. And you knew that is right, Iggy. It's Iggy. That's 1970. Iggy and I had a bond. He was good friends of mine still. And, I was always scared to shoot Iggy because, even this is early, like really early, in the Funhouse and, Iggy and the Stooges. So when they came from Detroit, when they came to New York, the rumor was that if a photographer, and there wasn't many photographers around, but, if a photographer got close to Iggy, he would smash their camera. So Iggy's manager was Danny Fields. Everybody knows who Danny Fields is. Danny Fields managed, found, the Doors, the Ramones, Iggy and the Stooges, AC/DC. He did everything, Danny Fields. He's still around. He's still here. But anyway, I used to go to Danny Fields' house, and Iggy used to stay there when he came to New York. And Iggy and I had a pact. He said, look at Dustin. He said, I'm not going to touch your camera. You can come as close as you want to me. I mean, I got pictures of Iggy under his balls, and my camera's intact. So I love him, as you can see. That's at the Hotel Chelsea. This is in the 70s, the Hotel Chelsea in Greenwich. This is Debbie Harry before Blondie. This is called the Stilettos, the group Stilettos. So I have a lot of pictures. This is Lou. These are pictures of Lou Reed when he was an alien. David Bowie from Diamond Dogs. That's a group from Slade called Slade. They were from Ireland, I think. Sly and the Family Stone. I took that in 1969. That was at his wedding. He performed at his wedding. This is Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. It was taken in 73. They performed for some rock critics, including the wild man Lester Bangs. He was one of the greatest rock critics ever, Jane County, Animal X, Gang of Four. This is from Hawkwind. This is Peter Gabriel from Genesis. 74, Jagger. That's Lance Loudon, Christopher Makos. Of course, Freddie Mercury. This is shot the first time they came to New York to tour the States. This is one of the only concerts they did because he got sick and they went back. So this was in 1974. He played with Mata Hoople, and they were the opening band. Mata Hoople was the headliner. Freddie, Bryan Ferry, Roxy Music, Elton John. You know who that is, right? This is a thing, I don't know why she did this. This is Wendy O. Williams Plasmatics. I don't know if you ever heard of them. But, they did this thing on the West Side where I don't know why they did it. But she was going to come from the stage and burn up the stage and get in the car and wreck the car and burn the car. I don't know. There's some of the shots. I still don't figure out, what the hell it was about. But that's how Wendy was, You can see how it is, So these are some of the places I used to hang, Fillmore East, Counter Music, Anderson Theater, Max's, CB's, Bottom Line, 82 Club Mark. There was thousands and thousands of places. The rent was cheap and you could do anything. Let's get to the 80s. So Halston's a very good friend of mine. So I used to do a lot of Halston in the 80s. I worked for W in the Fashion of the Times. I was doing a lot of freelance. I did a lot of Life magazine stuff. And, this is Halston was a very good friend of mine. Halston and the Halstonettes were really tight with me. And this was taken at at the Olympic Towers on the penthouse. It's crazy. And I have a quote in the book. I'll tell you this quote. It's something like, when I walk by St. Patrick's Cathedral and I look up at the spirals, I should see God. But what I see is the God of fashion, Halston, which is next door to the spirals. So this is a danceterian of the club, danceteria. A Betsey Johnson show in the 70s. Lulu's now, she's got like 3 kids. Apples in Apollonia, famous model Apollonia, Pat Cleveland. That's Pat and Michael Chow. They just did a documentary on Mr. Chow. Mr. Chow's, Mr. Chow's. That's Apollonia and Pat Cleveland. That's Clotilde, the artist, incredible artist. This is Yves Saint Laurent. Norma Kamali. This was shot in Norma Kamali when she was just constructing her new OMO. OMO stands for On My Own. And Andre Leontali. It's Perry Ellis, new showroom. This is Beverly Johnson and Avicin in Times Square. A lot of times, most of my studios, I did a lot of sittings in studios, but most of my studio was open air. Times Square was one of my studios. I loved Times Square in the 70s. Times Square in the 70s, it was very difficult not to find a place to shoot in Times Square in the 70s. I mean, there were so many great elements in the 70s. So many graphics. That's why, it's just incredible. I love Times Square. Diana Vreeland, Zandra Rhodes. I like her unibrow. That's Norma Kamali in her famous sleeping bag coat. This is a shot taken in Times Square. I always used to use Times Square for everything. I loved that. I got the people around, get them around, do this, do that. Make lemonade out of lemons. Times Square. This is early Iman. At that time, there wasn't backstage. People did all their makeup and hair in sewing rooms, and they used to do their own makeup and hair. Now, this is part of the, I sort of remember I said about Let It Rock and Vivian Westwood. This is spandex stuff, you know? So we were in Central Park and, you know, we were walking around and I saw the, you know, the zoo, and there was a parrot cage with a cage open and there was nobody in it. And I said, oh God, models, get in the parrot cage. So they got in the parrot cage and I turned on the faucet and we just started shooting. We did a whole sequence that was crazy. We got out, but see, like stuff like that today, you can't, it's very hard to do, you know? Perry Ellis. This is Calvin Klein in his apartment. It's in his weight room when he's did guitar. This is Calvin. Supermodels. Sophia Loren. This is, I did a huge story on the Brighton Beach Club out in Brighton Beach. It was fantastic. The ladies were incredible. I loved them. They all loved me. They all wanted to adopt me. But I loved it. I went out there day after day after day and did the Brighton Beach. We did all these crazy shows, not just with models, with them too. I loved them. This is the first Stephen Sprouse show. Stephen Sprouse is an incredible designer. Oh, the 90s, good. All right, so this is Naomi, early Naomi Campbell. And the supermodels. And Iman. And Daryl Hannah. This, I shot this for Splash, the movie Splash, not for the movie, for Life magazine cover and pages inside. We went to Jamaica for 10 days and we had an incredible time. After the shooting, we used to go, Daryl and I used to hitchhike on the back of a pickup truck in a Rastafarian place and go to the clubs, the Jamaican clubs of the music, the reggae music. Oh my God. And come back around 5 a.m. and then we have to shoot. And oh God, that's the story. This is Daryl Hannah. Now this is called making lemonade from lemons. I went to Coney Island with this model and I didn't have anybody but this model. So we just kind of used her. We used Kamali clothes, and this guy worked the bumper cars at Coney Island, so I just used them. I said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you carry this girl down to the beach? Then we borrowed a snake. This is taken in Compton, California. Did a lot of stuff on in East LA. This is in 89, 88. Very dangerous, crazy time. So we're back to now. This is Liza, still a good friend of mine, you know. So this is the price of fashion right there, buddy. So I just bumped through these here, so you get an idea. Like I shoot a lot. What my style is, and I'm going to talk about it because I'm going to run through these pictures. But my style is like I always been gravitate toward the new. For some reason in my DNA, I smell out the new. Like and it's a lot about helping out musicians and helping out designers and helping out artists that are broke and helping them out, you know, and sniffing out the new and like going to that kind of creativity. I know they're good. They're really creative. And I love, and I love to become one with the tribe. And a lot of these designers, this is Telfar and, you know, incredible. When I first started with Telfars from the beginning and, you know, Telfar, Hood by Air, Gypsy Sport, they didn't know who I was. I didn't say, hey, I'm Dustin Pittman. I've been shooting for a long time. I didn't say anything. So all I wanted to do is say, I love your look. I love your clothes. I love your vibe. I would love to shoot. And then we started from beginning because that's my motto. My motto is start over. Every day I start over again. You know, the other stuff is there. It's done. It's in the can. But I want to start over. Every day is new. And like, this is Telfar. This is all new stuff, you know. This is the hip hop voguing stuff. So these people, when I'm showing you in these slides, I know it doesn't seem like it, but you know what? I'm in relationship with these people. These are a community. These people I love. They're my friends. You know, these is a tribe, and they're different tribes that I gravitate to, and you know, I hang with. And it's, you know, I'm fortunate enough that they accept me, you know, as an artist, as a person, you know. So I'm really, you know, proud of that, you know. That's Karl Lagerfeld's belt. Everybody know who that is? You know who that is? Yeah, Courtney Love. You know who that is? It's Karen O from the Yeah, 1999. And it's James Brown, obviously. So this is more the voguing into the houses. House of Lavalja, House of Givenchy, you know. And they have these dances, these contests. They win these trophies. And that's Willie Ninja, famous Willie Ninja. This is the Pride's Parade. I shot almost every Pride Parade since the beginning, 1970. This is more Pride. This is the young Pride. Now you moved into the younger Pride. This is Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. And that's it for this. That's it for the presentation. But I just want to say, you know what, you know, it's really important for me. Like I'm a photographer that, like, you know, I had, you know, different areas of my photography. There was sittings photography where you have hair and makeup done and it takes 4 or 5 hours to do hair and makeup. Then you put them on a set and everything's pre-lit and you shoot the stuff and, you know, you put the bag in, you take the bag out, you put the belt on, you put the belt out. And that's not my style anymore. It was, I liked it for a while. Then I got, you know, ADHD. Like I can't do this. So like I just started, like, you know, wanted to do my own thing. So I got away from that wave, you know, that whole British Vogue thing, you know, or whatever you want to call it. But so anyway, so I just, you know, started to like just improvise, and that's my kind of style. It's kind of free. You know, I'm a free spirit. Thank you so much. You know what? My slogan, even before technology, and even before iPhones or any technology or AI, my slogan has been this: everybody has a pencil, but not everybody can write. I hope that answers your question.
So thank you for showing the number of likes.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming. I didn't think anybody would come. I said, oh my God, it's empty.
But yeah, no, I was just wondering, like, with all that you've captured, like, how do you feel like it's shaped the kind of art you put out now? Do you feel like your values have changed in any way throughout? That's a long time. Like, in what way do you feel like your values have changed from the experiences that you've had then?
Well, you know, so I can say is, you know, just authentic. I mean, I know that word is overused, but authenticity. I mean, I follow my passion, I follow my heart. I mean, I just follow what I look at. I don't shoot anybody that I don't feel passionate about, that I don't like. I don't shoot that. I'm not on assignment, and that's great. I have the freedom to say, you know what, I'm not interested. You know what, and so that's really a freedom of choice. You know, that's incredible. You know, I love that. I mean, so I honor that in myself that I'm able to do that, you know. So, you know, if these people that I shoot, I love. They're my friends. And I wouldn't shoot them if I didn't like them. So, you know, there's, you know, whatever, you know. So the causes and the things I show up for, I believe in. It's in my heart. So yeah, I don't really have any trouble with it today. I was shooting last night, and you know, I don't have any trouble. And you know, also the kind of, where I go with, my mind goes where, I go into a place, like, I was telling Brian, I went to the Whitney Art, party the other night, Whitney Museum Art Party, and it's really great, great party. A lot of people were there, it's really nice. But, and I'm not a paparazzi guy. I've never been a paparazzi guy. I don't shoot celebrities. I'll shoot celebrities, but in a different way. But, I noticed that, you saw some of the Swans, the social ladies from way back at Broadway and Blue Test and the Cirque, those early restaurants, Four Seasons, whatever. But at the party, that I noticed that the party was for the people, the benefactors that donate the money to the museum, millions of dollars, very, very wealthy. But they weren't there. Their kids were there. Their young kids were there. They were 20, 30 years old. They were there, and I said to myself, it was fantastic. It was really great because it's a whole new era of, I don't want to say swans, but you know what I mean? But it was a whole new, a whole new vibe. But, and to get in relationship and develop a relationship with them, it was really great. I was talking to them, fantastic. I mean, their mouth, God, it's so amazing. I mean, just, you can see where it's kind of changing. But, the concept of where I went with those images, because I was shooting analog, and film cameras and digital. And where I went with those images, I wanted to do different things. So I kind of concentrated on like different pieces of slices of that party. It's hard to explain, to show you. Yes?
First of all, thank you so much. I had no idea what I was coming into tonight. So
Neither did I.
There you go. No, it was perfect for me though, where I'm at my own meditations on my work. But, so I apologize in asking the question that I think is the most boring most of the time, which is, what did you shoot most of these on? Did it have autofocus? Were were they well lit? Like, so many of these pictures are so sharp, in the perfect moment. Yeah.
Honestly, so it all depends what kind of job I'm doing, or where I'm going for it, or who I'm shooting, or what kind of vibe I want to get out of it. I'll pick up an early Nikon camera with a glass lens, or maybe a Pentax 6.7 or a Rolleiflex, or a digital camera. Digital cameras, you shoot so many digital cameras. But it all depends what I'm doing, and it's not really about the equipment, it's about being in a relationship. It's not about the equipment, I try to not really focus on the equipment. I know my equipment really well. In answer to your question, I shoot manual. I always shoot manual. I don't, I've always done. I never shoot automatic. It's the kind of person I am. I like to focus in and shoot manual. And I don't use a meter, even on my Rolleiflex. By now, I kind of know what the best stops are. I kind of figured it out eventually. I'm not Ansel Adams in the zone system, but I kind of figured it out, Anybody else?
Yeah. You were, flying along, or at least to an incredible array of cultural kind of moments. Did you ever say, okay, I'm gonna put my camera down now and I'm just gonna jump in and engage, or were you happy to stay kind of?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know what? I'm glad you asked that question, because you know what? To be in relationship with people, you have to put your camera down. A camera's a tool, and you know what? I have many, believe me, you know what, you got to get to know somebody. You get to know, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but you know what they're about. It's just like, I don't really like to go into cold shoots, I kind of know people, I have these shoots lined up already now, right up until the end of the summer, and I've known these people for years. And you know what, I'm ready to photograph them. I said, I'm ready to photograph them. I want to do it now, because I love these, I love these people, and I know how I want to photograph them. I know what tool I want to use, and I know where I want to do it. But, I'm not like a person just rushes in and, does that, even though when I worked for W, I had to do a lot of that stuff. I had to really, really, you have to come back with bacon, Really, trust me, John Fairchild, I don't know if you ever heard about Mr. John Fairchild, but trust me, he was like, he was my right, we worked together all the time, me and Andre Leontelli, all the time. So like, you had to like, toe the line, especially with the European designers, it's Ani or Yves Saint Laurent or Valentino or Versace, you name it, you gotta know your stuff. I mean, the thing is, the cameras and all that stuff is the tools, but you gotta know it. You gotta be prepared. Everything has to be prepared. Everywhere I go, if I go somewhere, I'm prepared. I have my stuff right there. I know there's no fuck-ups. It's really important. And that's, I guess I learned that maybe as a Boy Scout, I don't know. Be prepared.
Did you ever not come back with a bag then? And what happened?
Oh, I tell you, I come back with the shakes a few times. I remember like a couple times, especially work for like magazines and fashion at times with W. Like I did this job in Paris. I used to work in Paris a lot, in London and Milan. But this job, Carrie Donovan, she was the head of the New York Times style, fashion style section. And she sent me to Paris, and Polaroid, and this is in the early 80s, Polaroid came out, and while I was in Paris, I was hanging out with the four rougher designers, which is Claude Montana, Terry Mugler, Ezedina Maya, and Jean-Paul Gaultier. And we were like hanging out late at night. But the thing is, Polaroid came out with this new film, you probably know about this, but this new film at the time. It was a positive 35 millimeter film. And what you could do is you could load it in your 35 millimeter camera, and then they gave you this machine, this hand crank machine or electric. I had a both. They sent me all this crap from Rochester. And they're Polaroid, Massachusetts. And then anyway, they sent me this stuff, boxes and boxes of stuff. And I told them, I said, I wanted to do the Fashion of the Time section. We were doing like, I don't know, 15, 20 pages. And I wanted to shoot the European designers with this film. And the film was the film that Polaroid film, but you put it into your camera and you take the picture and then you develop it and you hold it up and it's a positive. Fantastic. But the problem was, luckily, I backed it up with Ektachrome film, because you should Ektachrome film. You can push and pull. And luckily, when this Polaroid film went to the printers, the separators, at that time there were separators, we had separators, and the separators couldn't separate the film. So Terry freaked out. She said, Dustin, what did you do? You brought us, and this Polaroid film was incredible. I still have it. It's beautiful looking. I mean, it's like Paulo Versi stuff, but beautiful. Not Polaroid, but Polaroid film. So it's foggy and misty and beautiful pastel colors. Gorgeous. But it's very fragile. You can scratch it really easy. I remember my assistants would be in hotel rooms, and we'd be processing this film over and over in thousands of rolls, But anyway, luckily I backed it up with Ektachrome. But in answer to your thing, Brian, there was a couple of times. Another time I went on a trip. We went on to this trout fishing resort out in Montana, and it was so weird. It was like this high-end luxury, 5-star trout fishing resort. I mean, top of the line, Anthony Bourdain type chefs, and they take these people out in these polo jeeps, and we fish. And the head of the resort, I told him I wanted to get him fly fishing and get that shot. The shot with the fish and the fly fishing, the trout, the rainbow trout coming up and get that. So every morning he'd wake me up around 5 in the morning and says, okay, get in the Jeep, with your own Jeeps, and get in your Jeep, and I'll get you a shot. And so we drive over these mountains and everything, all these streams and all this stuff. And he'd go out in the middle of the night and my waiters, I have a picture of this, right? My waiters on and everything, and my 6.7, my Pentax 6.7 camera. Because I used to use the 6.7 because it's a format of interview and W, that format, So nice. But anyway, I'd be out there in the middle, and he couldn't get a bite. He couldn't get a bite. So I'm with the editor, Michael Cody, who's like one of the heads of W. And after the 5th day, the last day, he says, "Let me get your shot. Don't leave us without me getting the shot." He wanted it for the cover of W, the section. So I'm with Michael. Michael and I are in the Jeep, and he's dragging us. I said, "Michael, he's bringing us to a fishing hole that's like, you can throw in a piece of bologna and you're going to get a trout." So he wants us to get the shot, right? So he went out there, and it took hours to get out there. And finally got out there. He got my waiters on in the middle, waiting. And he's trying everything. He's trying his flies, he's trying his wet flies, his dry flies, his worms. He's trying everything, putting food on the end of the hook. Nothing. So he came back with nothing. So you know what happened? I had to go to, don't say anything to anybody, but I had to go to a supermarket and buy a frozen rainbow trout. And I used that. That was a shot. Sorry. Thank you so much.